Welcome back. And we're moving into our final segment for today. As I mentioned earlier in the show, she has published her own book called All You Have to Do Is Read. She is starting an organization as well, or has founded an organization that is called Alina Gives Back. And her name is Alina Rodriguez, 14 years old. Good morning, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Alina, at 14, I wasn't thinking about books and foundations and NGOs and giving back to children. You have to tell us a bit more about yourself, about how you decided to be able to venture into all these things.
Well, I was adopted from the Dorothy Menzies orphanage at the age of a year and a half before my parents took me to the States. And around the age of 6, I did find out that I was adopted. And from there, it was sort of just me wanting to give back, because I realized that I was so close to maybe not having anything at all. And from there, I decided to start Alina Gives Back. And definitely a love of reading prompted the creation of this book. Because I just always loved to read. And I always felt that I feel like every other kid should be allowed to read, especially kids who who don't have resources that allow them to do so.
Now, Alina, tell us a bit about what it was like for you when you found out that you were adopted, and also from a child care facility.
Well, the funny story goes, I said that yes, I know I was adopted. My grandmother had me, and then she gave me to you, because I had spent 2 years with my grandmother, and so I thought that she was the one who had me instead. But
so you had your own suspicions.
Yes, I had my own suspicions, but I feel like my adoption has more affected the way I view the world, not so much how I view myself.
Okay.
Because I still feel I am a Rodriguez, and my mom will always be my mom, and so will my dad.
Yeah. Now, at what point did you come down to visit the Dorothy Menzies Child Care Center, and what was that experience like for you?
I came probably, I would say, a year after I found out, and it was very almost mind-opening to sort of see the place that I had come from, and I feel that that also had an effect on the way I see things, and more or less just wanting to give back. It sort of increased this passion for giving back and the desire to make sure that every kid who has what they need to grow up into the adult that they might want to be one day.
So you have kept your ties with Belize since you found that out?
Yes, and I return every summer to go and visit.
Okay, and what are some of the things that you do when you come?
Well, through my nonprofit organization, Alina Gives Back, I host a 1-week girls' summer camp every year, with the exception of this year. And there we host guest speakers to come and speak to the girls about what it's like to be a woman growing up in this new era. And we also talk about the importance of an education, and how getting an education gives you the ability to go places you never thought you could before. And we also do fun things, like we go to the library, and I try and retain that emphasis on reading even there. We go to the Maya ruins, because I also want to emphasize a cultural awareness of your own culture and the culture of others. And we do many different things. We do little activities. Last year, summer, they had to write a skit on reading and why you should read, which was very exciting to see what they came up with.
Yeah. So tell us about the organization, Alina Gives Back.
Well, I started Alina Gives Back in the States with my mom, but I have taken over most of the company's responsibilities now. And I mostly, from the very young age, my mother had me go to managers of these fast food chains and hotels and ask them for donations, toys that they didn't need, toiletries they didn't need. And whatever we did get, I would box them and put them in little bags, and then so they could go to Belize, and we'd hand them out at the soup kitchen that my grandmother worked at. And we did sort of just little things like that, but now it's expanded to now we have a scholarship. We provide 2 scholarships to 2 students here in Belize, so that they can continue their education without having to worry about money.
So, Alina, you have to take me back to this conversation where you go to your mom and you say, I mean, you were what, 8 years old, 7 years old, and you wanted to.
6
Yeah. And you say, I want to start an organization. And what was her reaction? And did you realize the amount of work it would take and also the amount of impact that it would have?
I don't think I did realize the amount of work or impact it would take, but I feel that my passion for giving back has driven me to continue to do this, and it's something I enjoy doing, so I don't feel like it's a burden to do it. And my mother was definitely surprised. That was probably the last thing she was expecting to hear from a 6-year-old eating in a restaurant.
Yeah.
She probably expected to hear something about how good the food was.
Or what new toy you wanted.
Yes. But I would say that she immediately acted on this, and it was more or less a reflection of how I was a little bit different from other kids my age.
Yeah.
And I think she had already kind of grown accustomed to me doing things or saying things that wasn't really normal for my age. And so she took it in strides, and I'm very happy she did so.
Now, what's the impression that you get from other kids at school or other people who find out that you are so actively involved in your own organization and working with another country?
Well, the first thing they always ask is, oh wow, that must be so hard for you. And I'm like, it's not hard at all. It's something that I enjoy to do. And I feel like a lot of kids need to be more culturally aware and need to be aware that there are other people in the world besides themselves and their family and their social circle. And that there are things going on in the world that could impact them for the rest of their lives as well. And that's something that I've tried to spread through Alina Gives Back in my work with Alina Gives Back, because I feel like it's very important, and not a lot of kids growing up today take the time to think about things like that.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because I think even if we look just in Belize, we don't have to look as far as the United States and see where the interests of a lot of 14-year-olds are. It's social media, it's getting the perfect selfie. I'm not typecasting all of them. Many of them are still very much academically driven and still have other interests. But it is a generalization that adults tend to make about teenagers. Does it concern you when you see your friends and others kind of more obsessed with building a social media profile rather than contributing back to communities?
I do find it a little bit concerning. I feel that social media does have its advantages, because you can say, if you do spread something, you can let everyone know about it. Like Alina Gives Back has a social media page. I have a social media page for Alina Gives Back as well. But I feel that it's become too time consuming for this generation, and that they need to take the time to kind of put down their phones, maybe enjoy a conversation with their peers. And if they took the time to do that, you never know what could arise from that conversation. The next Apple or Samsung could come from a simple conversation between friends.
So you went from summer camps to published author?
Yes.
What was the idea behind the book?
The idea behind the book was I'm always writing. I read a lot, but I write a lot as well. But most of the things I wrote were more for myself, but I wanted to write something that everyone could see.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to write about something that would impact people. When I write, I like to write with the idea that someone will see it and someone will be impacted by what I write. And so I decided to write All You Have to Do Is Read, because of my love of reading, and the main character is me, and a lot of the things in that book are things that I did when I was a kid. My mom used to tell me to stop reading while I eat, but eventually she gave up.
And she was just saying, thank goodness my daughter reads.
Yes, better reading than tweeting.
I like that. Now, how difficult was it to be able to put together a children's book?
It was a little bit challenging. I had to kind of tone it down a little bit to more simple terms that children could understand. But I feel that coming as a kid to a kid, I feel like it was relatively easy to write. But the publishing was a little bit hard to find. But we did get through it pretty well, and I would say that we did it in record time. We got this done in about a year or so.
Wow. And how did you manage to secure a publisher? What was their reaction when you shared the story?
We found a lady who self-publishes. She works with people who self-publish.
Okay.
which was very helpful because if we had gone with it on our own, we probably would have been a little bit lost. But she was very excited to see about the book and about the illustrations that we had, and she was very happy to work with us, and I felt like it was very nice to have someone who also enjoyed what I was doing.
Okay. Now, you have officially released the book now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are hoping people in Belize will want to purchase it as well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how does this link back to your organization, Alina Gives Back?
Well, the majority of the proceeds go to Alina Gives Back because to help fund things like expanding our scholarship program and maybe making the camps longer than 1 week or going more places. So I feel like Alina Gives Back is definitely going through some of its challenges itself, starting from going out of pocket with most of our costs, and the book definitely does help because the proceeds will help Alina Gives Back give back more and be able to just expand a little bit more.
Oh. So every time you purchase one of these books, what's going to be the cost price for it?
The cost will be $9.99 US.
Okay. And it's available online?
Yes, ma'am. It is available online, and if you would want to purchase an ebook, that is also available online.
Okay. Do you also have printed copies available here in Belize? Have you been able to secure?
Yes, ma'am. We have about 86 copies available in Belize for purchase.
Oh, nice.
So if you'd like to purchase one, there's no tax.
And how do people contact you if they wanna get a copy of the book?
They can go through my grandmother or my Gadi Sylvia, Sylvia Catus and Eugene Cooper, but they're also sold through St. John's Cathedral. If you know St. John's Cathedral, you know me. And of course, Amazon as well.
Yeah, you can also get them on Amazon in the ebook or in the printed copy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what would you really want to see happen with your organization, Alina Gives Back? What's your end goal?
My end goal for Alina Gives Back would be to expand out of Belize because there's still many other countries that need help, such as Africa and India and places like that. But I wanted to start with Belize because it is my home country, and I feel like that change starts best at home.
Yeah.
But I would like to expand it. I would like to potentially sponsor maybe over 100 kids with pro scholarships and maybe have the camp worldwide if I could somehow do it like that.
Yeah. You have definitely made a start very early at 14 years old to be able to achieve this. And, you know, I think it's amazing that somebody can take their story and make it into something that benefits so many others. So, you know, we appreciate that we have this platform to be able to tell people what you have been able to do, and most importantly that they can support as well. AlinaGivesBack.com is your website?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so people can get more information there. Do you also have opportunities for donations there as well?
Yes, ma'am. On the site you can donate through PayPal if you wish. And you can also, the contact forms are on there as well if you wish to contact us personally and with the inquiry of how can I donate books perhaps or clothing and things like that.
Okay. All right, Alina. So you have concluded your camp in Belize?
Yes, ma'am. I have concluded the camp in Belize, but it will be back again next summer. This summer, I will not be doing a camp, but I will be doing a book fair at the YWCA, I believe. And we will have not only all you have to do is read, but we will have lots of free books that have been donated to us through a partnership with the bookstore in the United States. And children and adults alike can come and just take books so I can just spread on that love of reading. And maybe one day they might be inspired to write a book of their own.
Oh. So free books, but they'll have to purchase this one because this is your fundraiser right here.
Yes, that is the purchasing.
So you don't get this one for free, but you can get other books, other donated books for free. This is such a wonderful initiative, and it's so great to meet somebody your age who has such a vision as to what you want to be able to achieve. What is your career goal?
My career would be to be an international diplomat or perhaps work for international affairs with a company so I can kind of go around the world because I love to travel and I love to visit other cultures as well.
All right. Well, you seem like a very driven young woman, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see you be able to achieve those goals as well. Thank you so much for stopping in.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and take our final break now, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap up, so stay tuned.